All right, Nathan, thank you. Arkansas State Police, the latest group stepping up to help with recovery efforts in Louisiana in the aftermath of Ida. More than a dozen troopers left the Little Rock headquarters early this morning, ready to help in any way that they can. They'll pick up another 15 troopers on the way. Other Arkansas groups helping out in Louisiana include the National Guard, the Red Cross, Sheepdog Impact Assistance, and the Salvation Army. UAMS is using its new online mental health care system to help people who have evacuated to Arkansas because of Ida. AR Connects therapists are offering their services at no cost, regardless of the patient's insurance status. They can help with medication management, substance abuse, anxiety, depression, and more. The only requirement, anyone seeking treatment through the virtual care program must be in the state of Arkansas, even if temporarily, and you can call their hotline to receive that help. Hundreds of thousands of people in Louisiana are still without power this afternoon. Roughly 760,000 are either without water or being advised to boil their water. Long lines are forming in the sweltering heat for critical supplies like food and gasoline. Rescuers are still trying to make contact with people who have not been found. David Begnaud has more on the recovery efforts in hard-hit Laplace, Louisiana.
Amid the devastation is the desperation. Crowds and cars lined up for gas in New Orleans.
And I've been here since 10 o'clock. It's 2:30.
That's 4.5 hours?
4.5 hours.
This is time-lapse video showing a line of people waiting for food wrapping around a block hours before the food was even handed out.
Many of the life-supporting infrastructure elements are not present. They're not operating right now. So
it's why Mike Treg, sheriff of St. John the Baptist Parish, keeps getting requests for welfare checks.
My father lives at this address in Laplace. He's 77-year-old, disabled male.
That was a message from a man in New Jersey who wanted to know that his dad is okay. So the sheriff sent his men to go check and see.
Cajun Navy and the National Guard has not been able to make contact with him due to debris in the roadway.
And they went out to check on him.
How you doing, sir?
77-year-old John Moore was home alone with his dog Nixon.
We're with the sheriff's office. Your son is worried about you because he hasn't heard from you. Would you like us to get you out?
Too.
All right, would you like us to get you out? Yes, sir. All right.
They found that Moore's house was damaged by Ida. No water, no food, no electricity, and no fuel in his generator. So the officers convinced him it was not safe to stay.
You know, I tried to be by myself, but
it's okay.
here. It's 77, it's hard.
They helped Moore, who has Parkinson's, to get dressed. And before they left, Officer Joshua Mathern began folding an American flag that he found on Moore's bedroom floor. Then they all escorted him to the shelter.
We have your father. Your father's fine. We also have the dog. Your father's a little shaken up, just wants to make sure he didn't do anything wrong and he's going to be okay.
Lieutenant Jake Boudreau decided it was safer for Mr. Moore to go to the hospital.
You ready? 1, 2, 3. Apparently this is his father's flag, World War II veteran. Kind of felt wrong to leave it hanging on the ground.
And as he sat on the stretcher,
Come with you.
they handed him that flag. As Mr. Moore was taken away, Nixon was taken from him because they don't allow dogs at the hospital. Now, Nixon was not going to be abandoned by that sheriff's team. Lieutenant Boudreau personally hand-delivered Nixon to the Emergency Operations Center, and he put him in the arms of Rachel. Rachel's the lady who is the manager for the Animal Services, and she personally took custody of Nixon. She's going to look after him and make sure that he is safe until he can be reunited with Mr. Moore. David Begnaud, CBS News, Laplace, Louisiana.
An incredible story of survival there. Thank you, David. New at noon, the Garland County Sheriff's Office is investigating a body found in Lake Hamilton over the weekend. Investigators say 63-year-old Timothy Green was found dead in the lake on Saturday. If you have any information about this incident, you are asked to call the Sheriff's Office. This afternoon, new cases are picking back up after a few days of lower numbers here in Arkansas. Sunday and Monday's reports were less than 1,000, but we cannot say the same for Tuesday. Here are the numbers. 2,626 new cases of COVID-19 reported in Arkansas yesterday. There's a little bit of good news here, though. Our active case count is slowly dropping, and even so, more than 22,000 Arkansans are battling COVID-19 actively as we speak. Our hospitalizations continue to go down. 1,212 people are fighting the virus from a hospital bed. That's 45 less than the previous day's total. While that is a step in the right direction, the Delta variant is now creating a new challenge for hospitals. Hospitalizations might be going down, but the demand for ventilators is climbing. Ashley Godwin shows us how the state's largest healthcare systems are managing a virus that is worse than ever before.
COVID's a little different now than it was in the early days of the pandemic.
This makes people sicker faster, and it definitely is affecting more young people.
Once it comes in, and if the patient becomes into the ICU, those patients are in the ICU for a little while.
COVID hospitalizations in Arkansas have gone down over the past 2 weeks, though some of the numbers are unclear due to backlogs in reporting. Something that is clear, though, our record high ventilator usage.
But the percentage of those patients that are sicker and requiring ventilators has risen significantly, has really more than doubled in the past 3 weeks.
The Delta variant seems to cause more severe cases than the older COVID-19 variants. UAMS noticed the difference immediately.
We were down to about maybe 8 to 10 ventilators in-house. Saw that very early on because the surge came in very quickly.
When a patient gets sick enough to need a ventilator, they often stay in the hospital for weeks.
What further complicates it now is how many young people we have on the ventilator, and so they can actually survive on the vent for a long time, but decline over weeks instead of days.
When someone gets sick enough to need a vent, the survival rate is discouraging.
About half of the people who go on a ventilator do not survive. So it's just a very worrisome thing to have so many people with COVID-19 on the ventilator in Arkansas.
So hospitals have continued to add more bed space and ventilators, hoping to fulfill the need.
So we've just added 12 new ICU beds, and they're almost immediately full. It's just really remarkable how we keep adding beds and we keep getting patients to fill those beds.
In Little Rock, Ashley Godwin, THV 11 News.
The governor telling people once again, get vaccinated. Here's why. Baptist Health told us 95% of the patients using ventilators right now were not fully vaccinated. Nationally, the CDC is urging people who aren't vaccinated against COVID-19 to stay home this Labor Day weekend. The agency's director suggests people who didn't get a shot should avoid traveling altogether. She said those who are fully vaccinated and wear masks can go ahead and celebrate. However, she suggests time outdoors with other vaccinated family members and encourages everyone to mask up when they're inside.